What up guys, Adon here, reporting to you live from my own room, and I'm here to talk about the bosses. Very quick update. I was able to finish Verus Hilla, and I'm overly happy about it. Now, basically I cleared all the bosses below Black Mage. Of course, I haven't cleared the hard Darknell or Chaos Gloom. I think I should be able to clear Chaos Gloom next week. I didn't have any time this week. This week was particularly busy week, so you know, I'm not too sure about hard Darknell though. I feel like I'm not cut for it. It feels a little too RNG dependent, to be quite honest, when it comes to Darknell. But today I just kind of want to talk to you guys about the huge problem in Maplestory, that is the bosses. So today I'll be ranking what I think so far, at least thus far, is the top 5 problematic bosses in Maplestory. Now, you might be thinking, you didn't experience all the bosses in the game yet. No, but at the same time, realistically speaking, what percentage of players do you think experience like up to Black Mage, to be quite honest? I mean, I feel like it's less than 1% at this point, and even below this, I'm not too sure how far they would go for these kind of, you know, top level bosses, to be quite honest. One of the fun component of the game is supposed to be the bossing, one of the main appeal, but I feel like they're a bit problematic in a sense. I feel like I should expand on that in a later discussion. The series that I'm planning on doing, what to do when it comes to improving the game and whatnot. But aside from that, I feel like right now we're just going to discuss about each 5 different bosses individually, see what we can change about it, what my experience was facing these bosses and whatnot. So let's actually begin by talking about... That is right, Verus Hilla is on number 5. Now, when it comes to Verus Hilla, I feel like she is the most interesting boss in Maplestory. And I had so much fun challenging this boss. I never had this much fun challenging a boss in Maplestory, to be quite honest. She felt closer to a Hollow Knight boss than that of a Maplestory boss. So you might be thinking, well, Dawn, then what's the big problem? It's the fact that she's a Maplestory boss and not a Hollow Knight boss. You need to beat this boss on a weekly basis, and I feel like due to that, she's a bit too difficult, I feel like. Now, despite me saying all of that, like, some of you are probably screaming across the monitor saying, oh no, she's easy as fuck, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of people find her very difficult to play, and she is this kind of a weird wall that most often people kind of, you know, headbutt against. And this stopped that. And I feel like, you know, I was able to clear her, and I had a lot of fun while doing so. I feel like her difficulty level is a little too much. So upon entering the boss room, you have 5 green skulls. Those are your lives. There are 2 ways you can lose the game. One way is to turn all your green skulls red. The other way is to lose all of it. Either way, you will die. Once you'll see across the map that once in a while the hand appears from above, and then it summons out this like red lines. And when the red line hits you, you'll see that it binds you for a second, and one of your skull turns red. Now you might be thinking, well, how do I turn that skull green again? Let me tell you. If you lose half of your health, round it up, then you can summon out this candle thing, and you can activate this candle by spamming on your interact button. You'll be able to heal non-stop. That's the one thing that you're going to have to continuously use in order to gain back your health and such. And now you might be thinking, you just said that you can lose your health. How do you lose your health? First of all, if you die, you lose your health. Second of all, if the you'll see upon entering the boss room, you'll see a timer a small timer going off in the on the top of your screen, right below your health. And when that timer goes off, Hilla swings her giant scythe. And when she swings her scythe, all of your red skulls are gone permanently. You cannot gain those back. To some extent, the gimmick itself is actually can be seen as a bit more harder than the Hollow Knight, because Hollow Knight definitely gives out more than 5 health, and there is always a way to gain back your health, even if it's a little a bit more difficult to find time where you're not hit by the boss, since in there, if you get hit, you can't really channel your channel your healing powers or whatever. But you get what I mean. And by the way, so if you die before the timer goes off and you have 4 health, it will always think that you need 3 lives to turn red for the candle to show up. Either way, let's talk about how I would change this particular boss, right? So first way is to increase the amount of lives you have, which I'm not a fan of. I feel like it really keeps the boss more interesting by not giving it 10 health. However, like I said, the boss is a little too difficult. So what's the other way to fix the boss? Well, very simple, get rid of the timer. I feel like that's the fairest way to do it. So just get rid of the timer. I feel like that's just perfectly good. I feel like it's perfectly challenging. I feel like it's like right on the level where it is just fine. There's another way to actually fix this. The hands that summon the strings and gives it a proper pattern instead of randomly appearing on the map. Because right now they just appear randomly on the map. When it comes to hands appearing thing, it is a little too RNG dependent. But like aside from that, I have no problem with this boss. Let's move on to number 4. So let's talk about Darknell. Darknell is another boss that I don't know how to feel about, especially the hard Darknell. I feel like he is almost way too much of an RNG dependent boss, and like he can either be too boring or too difficult almost, depending on what class you're playing. And I don't know, he's alright when it comes to Paladin, but I can see how people can get quickly frustrated playing through hard Darknell. But aside from that, I feel like the Darknell himself isn't too much of a bad boss. It's just that I feel like it's a problem. It just was a problem with Maplestory back then, how they designed the boss and whatnot. And honestly, just giving him a proper pattern with a proper timing would fix this boss tremendously, rather than than him just randomly summoning his minions on the map, like without any kind of pattern, with no timing, nothing to and whatnot, and leaving it completely up to RNG. That's about all the problem I have with Darknell, to be quite honest. These two bosses are kind of like on neck on neck when it comes to my rating. I felt like Darknell was a little more boring than Hilla, because Darknell had no special interesting gimmicks or anything like that. He just felt like a very, very boring, almost too boring of a boss. But I feel like these two bosses are fine as they are, but I feel like a little more changes could have been good. Now let's talk about next on the list. Will is the single weirdest boss that I've ever fucking seen. First of all, let's talk about his first pattern, like the first phase. It's the most boringest snooze fest I've ever fucking seen. I know that he used to be a party boss or whatever, and you could go into 2 different rooms, you could do that kind of thing. Well, not anymore. Can't you just change that? It's honestly just take double the time just to clear this thing, and honestly I find no joy in clearing his first phase. And then his second phase is a little more interesting, You can't heal the entire duration of the battle, and then once in a while, when you have enough gauge filled up, you just activate the gauge in order to heal up. And then when it comes to unlocking his each threshold of his health by the gimmicks when it comes to that kind of thing, it feels like they put a bunch of mini games together into one boss rather than making a proper boss. Now, if you say that, oh yeah, he's a scholar, he's like this kind of genius kind of thing, so you gotta unlock these puzzles and secret puzzles in order to, fight him properly and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of goes with his character, but and I definitely feel the effort they have put into this boss, but I feel like they didn't do it properly in this case. I feel like they could have done a lot better job with this boss. The mirror being on the bottom, the glass being cracked, that aspect was super cool to me. I don't think the boss itself was super interesting to me. Not to mention, he gives you 10 health, so he is easy enough. I feel like. Also, I feel like the bosses... How do I say this? I also feel like you should have a way to get into his second phase without clearing the first phase. Because first of all, first phase takes way too long. And you need a way to practice for that second phase with that cracked glass and clear glass. And yeah, and to be quite honest, I feel like the boss itself doesn't have too many problems. Aside from that last part, first of all, fix the first phase, just make it so that it would just have 1 health instead of 3. I feel like this overcomplicates things. It doesn't make the boss any fun. It doesn't make it any... it just makes the boss take longer. I don't think the boss is good in that sense. So, and aside from that, I would also just make sure that people can actually practice the boss by having people able to access the second phase without clearing the first phase in the practice mode. Aside from that, I have no complaints with this boss. So let's talk about the number 2 on the list, who is Lucid. I have been talking about how much I hate this boss. Lucid, in my opinion, is one of the most uninteractive boss they have put out. She is an easy boss, by the way. Like compared to Verus Hilla, Darknell, she is like a miles easy boss. Everything about her pattern is just like a snooze fest. You just need to watch out for that fucking minions that she summons above your head during her first phase. And honestly, that's about it. She summons out her whatever, the blade shockwaves every once in a while. And those things like come after you at the speed of slugs, so you can obviously see them and just dodge them. Like, actually, let's also talk about her second phase. Second phase is another weird snooze fest. And I really hate it because it's just like she just flies around, making it more difficult for you to do a proper burst on her. And I honestly really hate that about her. And I feel like a lot of people just find her annoying due to that. And really, and then she once in a while just goes behind the screen, like completely uninteractive, just gone. You can't touch her. She just shoots out her laser and then she just does that. Once in a while also she summons out the dragon along with the laser, and if those two things happen at the same time, well, you're dead. Depending on the timing of how that happens, you're dead. And I feel like that's a grave error by the directors. I'm guessing that's part of the reason why they gave you 10 health. But either way, and just on top of that, I feel like they thought, oh yeah, if you just do all of that, I feel like the boss is way too fucking easy. So we are just gonna put a bomb on top of your head every once in a while, and when it explodes, you just die. Before the remake, before they actually nerfed this, So before the nerf, I believe it killed you no matter what. Even if you stood in the place, you needed the parties to be together. I think you needed to stand together with the party members, I think was how you did it. So if you soloed this, there was no way for you to survive this bomb. Now they have the weird symbol, and you go over there and it reduces to 90% of your health instead of 180, I believe. So in my opinion, this is the most, like, even when it comes to intuitiveness, the only thing that you need to keep in mind is that for the third phase, which only appears for the hard difficulty, you just need to save your burst for that time. That's about it. And really, she's just super boring boss, super uninteractive. Like, if she goes away during your burst, like, you just find her annoying. Like, the fact of the matter is that she's more annoying than challenging, and I feel like they've been keeping that focus on that rather than challenging the players. They've been trying to just annoy the players for the longest period of time. I feel like that was the case for like the before they kind of figured out how to properly design boss, like before they designed Verus Hilla. So I feel like that's what Lucid was. She was just annoying. And how would I personally fix this boss? I mean, you can reuse all of the graphic. I feel like the graphic components of this boss are excellent. I feel like the entire concept and everything is cool. It's just the pure fact that she is just annoying. You just need to fix her patterns from bottom to the top. There's no question about it. I don't know how I would personally design this whole thing, but either way, I hope she's gonna get remade very soon. Now, well, you might be thinking now, what boss can possibly be worse than Lucid? What boss is possibly worse than what you said was just straight out uninteractive and boring? Let's talk about Demian. Demian is the worst modern boss in Maplestory. He is unfinished, boring, lazy, snooze fest, easy, garbage boss that was made to just straight out annoy you. Like, nothing about this boss is even interesting. Like, the only thing interesting about him is the fact that he is the Demon Slayer's brother, and that his designs are cool. He looks cool, yeah, I agree. His wings are cool. His thing, the eye patch is cool. His sword is cool, yeah, and his overall outfit is cool. That's it. Everything else about him, even when it comes to his VFX, as somebody who has developed game before, Demian feels like an absolute slap in the face. It feels like an insult to your intelligence. The entire VFX, all the PNG files, all the GIFs, all of it just kind of feels like they were haphazardly put together. They felt like they were half done, half baked, and then they were just like half done, and then the director was like, hey, where's the boss? The deadline is up. And then they're like, well, we are half done. We don't know what to do. So he was like, no, I don't fucking care. Put them together somehow. And they just like haphazardly fucking put them together into one. And that's how this boss is created. I hate Demian. I loathe him. Everything about him. Like, what's with his VFX? They were keep talking about how the wolf was going to devour the world tree the entire time in the storyline. Where's the fucking wolf? Where's the wolf in his VFX? There's not even a claw mark in the fucking screen. Like, and then they're like, oh yeah, the boss fight is a little too easy. So what do we do about it? Oh yeah, let's have a ball, right? That gets summoned. It will nerf the player's damage down to 10%. And then people are gonna be confused. Wait, but then people are not gonna be able to clear the boss in the second phase then. So yeah, so it will just follow the player around, but it will have slow enough speed for people to maneuver themselves away from the fucking boss. Let me tell you right now, you are disgusting, you are dumb, you're boring, and I loathe you for this decision. Such a cool character and cool story, wasted on this boss. Fucking insult to the face. You're having this entire battle on top of the world tree. Where is the fucking tree? Where's the tree? You could have at least done a little more at the branches for you to kind of avoid the thing and whatnot, and for you to step up every once, if the boss is doing some things, you go up there and then activate your invincibility and then do your burst to the boss or whatever. But no, you didn't even do that. Not a single fucking thing interesting about this boss. Nothing. Entire boss battle, a snooze fest. He is the most boringest, laziest, half-baked boss that I've ever seen. Oh, so what would I do to fix this boss? Well, fix everything about him other than his outlook. Everything about him that fixes, just fix, like, redo the entire VFX just like you did with Lotus. And to be quite honest, I don't know why they revamped Lotus instead of Demian, because to me Demian needed a revamp far more than the Lotus did. I honestly cannot wait for the day till Demian is revamped. I hate this boss. Like, he's easy as fuck boss, but I hate him. Like, he is everything that is wrong, in my opinion, with bosses that were created during his era, and I feel like he needs to be revamped, and quick. Now you might be thinking, who could be worse than Demian? Well, that is Pink Bean. Now you might be thinking, Pink Bean? Like, out of all the bosses, Pink Bean? Really? Well, here are a few reasons why I'm talking about Pink Bean. The fact of the matter is that the bosses, I'm talking about Pink Bean, but in my opinion, every single bosses that are below and a little bit more above Pink Bean, all considered with Pink Bean, because they're all basically the same thing. The same goes for Princess Snow and Akechi, who uses damage reduction and damage reflection as one of their main boss pattern. I feel like whenever there are weaker bosses in Maplestory, they should represent the future upcoming bosses. And out of these bosses, the only ones that does this well are the Root of Abyss bosses. And they're just a weaker version of the Chaos version of themselves. That's the only reason why they're the only ones that are that counts as the bosses that can prepare you for the future. They're a relatively modern boss. I'd be very happy if I got Vellum now. I feel like Vellum is a very well-made boss. He's a very cool boss, by the way, guys. He's very well made. But aside from that, every other bosses, like, don't prepare for anything. Like Magnus, maybe. Everybody else uses some kind of damage reduction or damage reflection in order to, well, extend the time. Okay, Populatus, I guess, has a little more interesting pattern. Zakum does. That's about it. Every other bosses don't really do that. And Von Leon and the Arcarium as well. All these bosses are just sandbags. Every single one of them are sandbags. The only reason why I'm choosing Pink Bean as their kind of representative is because it's the face of Maplestory. Like, you expect, oh yeah, I'm finally going to challenge Pink Bean. the face of Maplestory, and you are all excited. You go into the game, and then you challenge him for the first time, right? And you realize he's an absolute sandbag. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't necessarily have any kind of pattern. You just wait for him until his damage reflection is gone. Just drink your the all cure potion whenever you... By the way, the all cure potion is just stupid, by the way. Can we just remove the status effects and the all cure potions? It's not like all cure potions works in the Gloom anyway, Gloom or in Darknell anyway. Let's just get rid of it at this point. And just get rid of the entire stupid status effect pattern in Pink Bean and every other bosses. Because it's just nothing. It's no fun. It doesn't represent any of the upcoming bosses, like any of their patterns. And I feel like they should at least redo Pink Bean and get rid of the damage reflection / damage reduction abilities that reduces your damage down to 1. Because more... Like, if there's a thing that's more annoying than a boring boss, it's a sandbag with absolutely no interesting pattern that extends the battle through annoying gimmicks. And damage reflection / reduction is exactly one of those. Get rid of those things. Get rid of those things. Get rid of those things. I feel like that about kind of ends the entire video and everything I have to say about the 5 problematic bosses in Maplestory. You know, I'm having a live very soon. This is a rating video that I haven't done in the longest period of time now, and if you have like different thoughts about it, obviously, you know, let me know. And I feel like I'm gonna have a further discussion about this whole thing, to be quite honest. I feel like I have a minor amount of problem with how Maplestory design things, and to some extent looking at how Lotus was designed, how they design the bosses till now. And I definitely want to talk about it later, and I'm hoping to see you guys in the upcoming live stream. We'll be doing the bossing together. We'll be doing all those things together. It'll be on Wednesday, January 15th. So from 9 to 12 in the Central Time. Convert it to your time zone if you live in a different state or whatever. So yeah, thank you guys. Have a great day and keep hammering.